This pretty 1720s stone house in Pennsylvania will have you wanting to know what's behind those three blue front doors. In this case, the answer usually is another door, but there's also a lot of history and neat details behind them too. I'll show you how I would decorate it if it were mine. It's known as the Tobias Bickel House in Myerstown, Pennsylvania. And they took one good thing and kept on going with it, because in this case, the original house on the left dates from circa 1720, with the additions of a log house and an old summer kitchen added in the 1980s. None of these buildings actually started out in this location, but I'll get into that later. All of those additions make for a lot of extraneous and mysterious doors and doorways. Let's go inside. This is the original 1720s part of the house, and here in the foyer is the first mysterious door. Does anyone know what could have been stored there? Then there are double doors on the other side of the foyer that lead to the kitchen. There's a refrigerator and freezer behind those big doors on the right. And notice the old hooks on the ceiling beams? I wonder if they're original. The stovetop is tucked into that little stone alcove. And there's another tiny door like the one in the foyer at the end of the kitchen. I'm also curious about the arched doors there in the little breakfast area. Then on the other side of the foyer is the log cabin section of the home. And this living room has its own door situation. So if it were mine, I'd be tempted to camouflage them a little. Like this. This design is by Janine Carendi McMurray of Area Design. And it reads pretty traditional at first glance, but it also has some nice modern touches. And I want to camouflage those doors and maybe have a whole new access point, because door number 1 opens directly to a bathroom and a utility room, which is kind of neat actually, because with the thickness of the walls, you wouldn't really suspect that those rooms were there. So, okay, behind door number 1, we have the bathroom. Behind door number 2, I think is a closet. And to the right of the fireplace, we have door number 3, which leads to this room, which the recent real estate listing called it a drawing room, which I'm wondering is because you can draw at that table. It's not really a drawing room. Anyway, the back of the fireplace has been enclosed in paneling. So I would want to change that and turn it back into a fireplace if it were possible, and then make it a dining room, because you can dine in there, and you can also draw in there if you want to. This design is by architect Gil Schafer. And that room has another bathroom tucked behind the first one. And this next room is interesting. It's the old summer kitchen building, which was attached on the other side of the cabin. So I would make this room the drawing room. It's good for an office because it's a small room and it's tucked away on its own like that. It has an outside entrance too. This design is by Nantucket House Antiques interior design. So the other side of the room could look like this, again by Nantucket House Antiques, because I like how the green cabinet there, the old green chest, matches the door in the room. Here's a close-up of it. And for reference, here's the summer kitchen from the exterior view. Okay, so back in the original part of the house and going upstairs, we get to this landing, which has some interesting built-ins. And that opens into the main bedroom. And again, this is in the old 1720 part of the house. So what I would do here is bring in a softer color scheme with more antiques and a portrait, and I would tell everyone that that was Tobias Bickel, the original owner. And this bedroom has an attached bathroom. The renovations were done in the 80s by Ron and Edwa Weiss. And Ron was an architect and builder, and he and Edwa, and it's Edwa, not Edna, were antique dealers of folk art, and they preserved a lot of the early homes in the area. So they were obviously very good at what they did. And this bedroom was created then in the log cabin portion of the addition. And it has a tiny bathroom with a shower tucked behind one of the doors of the bedroom. And there's yet another bedroom behind it with another little door to the attic. And speaking of doors, there are more here in the garage. This is the best view of the garage and how it connects to the house via a breezeway that also has a lot of doors. I told you, behind the door, there are other doors. But I did find out what's behind one of them at least. This little door upstairs has a shelf and what kids nowadays would think is an original 1700s phone jack. So the first owner, Tobias Bickel, or Beckel originally, was born in Germany around 1711 or 1712, and he sailed the ship St. Andrew to Pennsylvania in 1737. He became a member of the Moravian Church when it was founded in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on Christmas Eve, 1741, when it looked like this. And he offered his home to serve as the church in the Myerstown area until one could be built. And this is the one they built in 1742, the North Heidelberg Church. But it's 15 miles away from Tobias's house, so even if he rode his horse really quickly, it would still take him an hour to get there. So if Tobias's horse can canter at 10 miles an hour and the church is 15 miles away, there's your math problem. But actually the church might not be 15 miles away because remember, the Bickel House isn't where it was in Tobias's day. In 1981, they moved it 1.5 miles and across a highway to where it sits today. And this sketch is from a newspaper story about the move. So the bonus math problem is multiply the number of miles the house moved by the number of times I used the word door in this video. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And for more content, visit my website at ifitweremine.com.